Hello everyone, I'm going to be answering one of your questions today, and CLG4 asks a question: what about people who have amputated or missing fingers? What can palmistry tell us about them? So I want to answer that question for you today, but the very simple answer to that is it doesn't make a difference if you have amputated fingers. Palmistry will still work for you, although it won't work as efficiently. But the general sort of gist with this is, if you look at, like, say the index finger, for example, that's the finger for ambition. And the idea is, if that finger's crooked or shrunken or swollen, or smaller rather, that would mean that you have lower ambition. But what if you're not born with that finger at all, or it gets cut off in an accident? That doesn't mean that you have no ambition at all. It just means we can't tell that bit about your life. And the analogy I want you to think about over here is, think of like a satellite that sends a signal to, say, your mobile phone, for example. You take this exact same analogy for the brain to the hands. So just as a satellite sends that signal to the phone, your brain sends signals into your hands through its nerve endings. So what a palmist really does is they read your brain. Literally, the lines on the hands are formed by the brain. And therefore, if you're not reading lines on a particular part of the hand, it doesn't mean that that part of the brain doesn't exist. It just means that you can't read what's going on there. And I remember a couple of years ago, I read the hands of a Paralympian. This was a guy who was born without these two fingers on his hands. He'd won a silver medal, I think it was, in the track and field representing Australia. Now, by palmistry theory, he should not have ambition because he didn't have that finger on his hand, and yet he'd won a silver medal at the Olympics. So he was that disciplined that he could train like an Olympic athlete and actually win at the sport. So just because you have missing fingers or missing limbs or anything like that doesn't mean that palmistry won't work for you, or even that there's like a special meaning for what that lack of anatomy should stand for. It's still going to work, we just won't be able to read it as clearly. Alright, think about that, guys. Now, if you do have any more questions that you'd like answered about palmistry, put them in the comment section below and I'll try and make a video for you. Thanks a lot.